At 800 miles per hour, hesitation ends a life. Down here, it ends a future. Let's begin right there because that single sentence says something almost nobody realizes about their own mind. Hesitation might not knock you out of the sky, but it absolutely knocks you off your path. People underestimate the damage of hesitation because it feels harmless. It doesn't explode, it doesn't scream, it doesn't create a crisis. Instead, it slowly wears you down. It steals opportunities before you notice they were even there. It delays your potential so quietly that years pass before you realize you were capable of so much more. And all of this happens in the tiny moment between, I should do this, and I'll start in a minute. Now, fighter pilots can't afford those moments. They don't get the luxury of thinking about thinking. They don't get to analyze every angle until they feel comfortable. They don't get to say maybe later. Their decisions come fast because the environment demands it. But here's the interesting part. The human brain they use is the same one you're using right now. They don't have a special model secretly installed by the Air Force. They don't have upgraded hardware. They don't have a magical instinct that normal people don't have. What they do have is a different relationship with uncertainty. They don't freeze when they lack information. They don't panic when things aren't clear. They don't wait for perfect confidence before they act. And if you can learn to make decisions the way they do, without the chaos of a cockpit and without a jet engine behind you, you can change the speed and direction of your life in a way that will feel almost unfair. So today, let's slow everything down. No explosions, no drama, just clarity. Let's talk about how to make decisions like a fighter pilot, even if the fastest thing you've ever operated is a microwave. The real reason you hesitate. Most hesitation doesn't come from lack of ability, it comes from misunderstanding your own biology. Your brain was built a very long time ago, in a world where the most important decisions were about physical survival. Back then, a wrong choice could genuinely end you, so your brain evolved to avoid unnecessary risks, avoid discomfort, and avoid the unknown. Today, the threats are different. Making a career change is not a tiger. Sending a message is not a cliff. Starting a project won't get you eaten, but your brain reacts to discomfort the same way it reacted to danger thousands of years ago, with hesitation. That means you're not broken. You're not a procrastinator by nature. You're not doomed to indecision. You're simply living with a mind that still believes discomfort equals danger. Once you see this clearly, something shifts. You stop blaming yourself. You stop feeling guilty for overthinking. You stop imagining that other people were born brave while you were born hesitant. You realize your hesitation is not personal. It's biological. And biology can be upgraded. The pilot mindset in simple terms. Now let's bring in the fighter pilots. The tool they use for high-speed decision-making is something called the OODA loop. Observe, orient, decide, act. You may have heard the acronym before, but I want you to hear it differently this time, not as a military concept, but as a simple human system that anyone can use. A pilot doesn't spend long in any step. They don't get stuck in the observation part. They don't sit for hours orienting. They don't wait until everything is clear before deciding. They loop through the steps quickly, sometimes multiple times in a single second. The power isn't in the steps. It's in the speed and the repetition. Pilots don't think once. They think constantly. They don't decide once. They decide continuously. They don't act once. They act repeatedly. The loop keeps them alive. The loop keeps them sharp. The loop prevents hesitation from building. And you can use the same loop to break your own patterns of delay. Let's walk through it slowly, like two stick figures learning to fly a paper airplane, observation without drama. The first step is observing reality, but everyday people don't observe reality. They observe the story they're telling about reality. A simple situation happens, but your mind adds layers. Suddenly, a message feels like rejection, silence feels like danger, a challenge feels like failure, and uncertainty feels like a warning. All of this noise makes decision-making heavier than it needs to be. Pilots don't add emotional weight to neutral information. If something is happening, they see it as it is, not as their feelings describe it. You can train yourself to do this too. When you face a decision, try asking yourself a single question. What is actually happening right now without my interpretation? This question cuts through the noise. It gives you a clean view, and clean views can create clean decisions. Orientation. What does this mean for you? The second step is orienting, making sense of what you see. But most people orient emotionally instead of logically. If a situation triggers discomfort, they interpret it as a sign to stop. If something feels uncertain, they imagine it means danger. If they don't feel ready, they conclude that they actually aren't ready. But discomfort is not danger. Uncertainty is not a warning. And feeling unprepared doesn't mean you're unprepared. It just means you're human while it's orient using information, not fear. They ask, given what I see, what does this actually mean? You can adopt this mindset by asking yourself, if fear wasn't part of this, what would I think? This question alone can change the direction of your life. Decision, choosing without perfection. Here's the part where most people get stuck. Making the choice. People believe they need complete clarity before deciding. They want certainty. They want guarantees. They want the comfort of knowing they won't regret it. But pilots make decisions with incomplete information all the time. They don't need 100% clarity. They just need enough clarity to move. Sometimes that means 60%, sometimes 70%, sometimes even 51%. In fact, Jeff Bezos once explained that most decisions should be made with around 70% of the information you wish you had. Waiting for more paralyzes progress. The truth is simple. You don't need perfect information to choose. You only need enough information to move. That's the difference between a hesitant life and a forward one. Action, moving before doubt grows. Now comes the final step, acting. You'd think this is the easy part, but it's actually where hesitation hits hardest. The moment you decide on something, your brain begins generating doubts. It wants you to reconsider. It wants you to delay. It wants you to stay where it's comfortable. If you wait too long between deciding and acting, those doubts pile up like clouds blocking your path. Pilots act immediately. They trust the loop. They trust movement. They trust the process. And here's the interesting thing. Action creates clarity. Action gives you feedback. Action sharpens your instincts. Action builds confidence. Hesitation creates confusion. Only movement creates momentum. Einstein's battle with overthinking. Let's bring in a famous example. Einstein. People imagine him as endless confidence and genius, but he struggled with overthinking deeply. He once said something that reveals his philosophy. The faster you realize you're wrong, the faster you can get to what's right. He didn't try to avoid mistakes. He tried to make progress. That's the mindset of a fighter pilot. That's the mindset of an effective thinker. That's the mindset of someone who understands that hesitation is more damaging than imperfection. Einstein didn't wait for perfect conditions. He moved, observed, learned, adjusted, and kept moving. That's OOD. A in action, even if he never used the word. Your life moves faster than you think. Life today moves quickly. Opportunities appear and disappear easily. Momentum matters more than people realize. And the person who can make decisions cleanly, not recklessly but cleanly, has an advantage in every part of life. You don't have to rush. You don't have to act impulsively. You just have to stop living in mental standby mode. Decision-making is a muscle. The more you use it, the stronger it gets. The less you use it, the weaker it becomes. A confident life is built on small decisions made consistently, not on big decisions made perfectly, the stick figure version of you. Imagine your life as a simple stick figure animation. No complex background, no dramatic music, just you, a tiny pencil-drawn airplane, and a few simple decisions in front of you. Every time you hesitate, your little stick figure freezes. Every time you choose, your little stick figure moves. It doesn't need perfection, it just needs direction. If you could see your life in this simple form, hesitation would look absurd. You'd see how silly it is to pause for hours over a decision that needs only a few seconds of clarity, and you'd see how powerful you become the moment you move, even if the move is small. 4. Practical habits to transform your decision-making. To think like a fighter pilot in everyday life, here are 4 habits to focus on. First, keep your observation clean. Don't add fear to facts. Orient wisely. Let logic lead, not emotion. Third, decide with enough clarity, not perfect clarity. Fourth, act before doubt multiplies. If these 4 habits had a single theme, it would be this: forward. A simple word, but a powerful one. What I learned writing wisejoe ebooks. When I was writing one of the Wise Joe ebooks, I had nights where I wanted to delete everything. Nights where I overthought every sentence. Nights where I stared at the screen, convinced I wasn't ready, convinced I needed more clarity. But I realized something very important. Hesitation disguises itself as intelligence. It pretends to be deep thinking. It pretends to be careful planning. It pretends to be strategy. But most of the time, it's just fear in a fancy outfit, and that realization helped me move faster. It helped me trust the loop. It helped me decide and act even when the work wasn't perfect. You don't overcome hesitation by waiting for courage. You overcome hesitation by building motion. The world respects the decisive. People follow those who move. People trust those who choose. People admire those who take steps even when uncertainty exists. Decisiveness doesn't make you reckless. It makes you reliable. The world is built around people who act while others hesitate. Opportunities grow around them. People gravitate toward them. Life opens to them. You can be one of those people. And it starts with one tiny decision today, the final flight lesson. A fighter pilot doesn't win because they know everything. They win because they respond faster than uncertainty can grow. And you can do the same. Your future is not shaped by giant decisions. It's shaped by small moments of clarity repeated over and over until momentum builds. So today, just loop once, observe what's real. Orient to what matters. Decide with the clarity you have. Act without letting doubt grow. One loop, then another, and eventually you'll look back and realize you weren't flying at 800 miles per hour, but your life was changing at a speed that felt very close. If you had to describe your mindset after this video in one word, maybe you'd choose forward. A simple word, a powerful direction, a future waiting to be lived.